Beneath the ancient giants of Giza, something extraordinary has been detected. The 2025 breakthrough radar scans don't just hint at tunnels or scattered chambers, but reveal the outlines of a vast, geometrically ordered city buried under the pyramids themselves. These images show spirals, chambers the width of football fields, vertical corridors possibly sinking over 2,000 feet, features some say could overturn everything we thought we knew about Egypt's past. Was advanced engineering hiding in plain sight all along, or are we misreading the clues beneath the sand? What these new scans reveal adds fuel to a controversy Egypt's authorities can't ignore, so why are answers still out of reach? Let's unpack the history, the science, and what it would mean if a lost city really lies below Giza. Giza's limestone rises from the desert like a riddle. For centuries, the pyramids have drawn explorers, scientists, and dreamers, each hoping to crack the code of their origins. Yet beneath the surface, the story grows murkier. Ancient builders left almost no blueprints, no master plan etched in stone, no scrolls mapping what lies below. Even the earliest travelers, like Giovanni Battista Belzoni in the 1800s, recorded only rumors, whispers of tunnels, hints of sealed rooms, legends of lost records hidden by priests or pharaohs. The ground itself seems to guard its secrets. Deep fissures and strange erosion patterns cut across the plateau. Nowhere is this more debated than at the Sphinx. Some, like geologist Robert Schoch, point to the weathered enclosure and see evidence of rainfall, heavy, sustained, and ancient. He argues these rounded channels and vertical grooves could only have formed when Giza was lush, thousands of years before the pharaohs built their tombs. If true, that would mean the Sphinx, and perhaps the plateau's earliest monuments, were already standing when the Sahara was still green. Mainstream Egyptologists, led by Mark Lehner and Zahi Hawass, push back hard. They point to Old Kingdom quarry marks, stelae, and the alignment of temples as proof that the Sphinx belongs squarely in Khafra's era, about 4,500 years ago. For them, the odd erosion comes from rare desert storms, salt, and centuries of restoration, not lost civilizations. The archaeological debris, pottery, tools, workers' camps, anchors the timeline in dynastic Egypt. No datable artifact has ever been found that would push Giza's monuments back into a vanished epoch. Yet the debate won't die. Water weathering, flood legends, and the absence of direct construction records keep the door open to older stories. Across cultures, myths recall catastrophic floods and lost worlds, echoes of upheaval that might explain why some monuments seem out of place or why their foundations run deeper than expected. History has a habit of surprising us. Sites like Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe were once dismissed as natural mounds. Excavation revealed temples older than any pyramid, built by people long thought incapable of such feats. Every time new evidence surfaces, accepted timelines are forced to stretch. The lesson is clear. When the ground hints at something more, the only responsible path is to test, not dismiss. Giza's mysteries endure because the record is incomplete, and every unanswered question is an invitation to look again. The Giza Plateau is more than an archaeological wonder. It's a national treasure guarded with unwavering vigilance. Every grain of sand, every stone block, falls under the watch of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. Their mandate is clear: protect the legacy of the pharaohs, defend the country's heritage, and ensure that the world's fascination never becomes a threat to what lies beneath. Securing a permit to study, scan, or even step beyond the tourist paths here is a feat in itself. Researchers submit detailed proposals outlining credentials, project goals, and every method they plan to use. But paperwork alone is never enough. The SCA's committees scrutinize each request, weighing the scientific merit, the risks to site preservation, and the potential impact on Egypt's reputation. Proposals must include Egyptian partners, strict conservation plans, and assurances that nothing will disrupt the fragile balance of the plateau. The stakes are enormous. Tourism tied to Egypt's ancient sites brings in more than $13 billion a year, supporting millions of jobs and shaping the country's global image. The Giza Pyramids and the Sphinx are not just relics, they are economic lifelines. Any hint of damage, scandal, or sensational claim can ripple through the economy, as seen during past periods of unrest when visitor numbers plummeted and revenue collapsed. Officials remember hard lessons. In the 1970s, rumors of hidden tunnels and mummy curses fueled a surge in black market looting. In recent years, viral headlines and unverified discoveries have led to frantic speculation, sometimes outpacing the evidence and threatening to undermine Egypt's stewardship of its own past. For the SCA, the answer is caution. Non-invasive technologies like ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity are sometimes allowed, but only after rigorous validation and direct supervision by Egyptian experts. Data must be shared first with the Council, not the world's press. Any move toward excavation, no matter how minor, requires a new round of approvals, safety plans, and often a public relations strategy. Foreign teams are reminded that all findings belong to Egypt, and nothing may be published without official clearance. Behind the scenes, internal debates can be fierce. Some council members see opportunity. New discoveries mean renewed global interest, more tourists, and a chance to showcase Egypt's scientific leadership. Others worry about losing control of the story or about the risks that come with international scrutiny and the pressure to deliver headline results. At the heart of it all is a single principle: the protection of Egypt's heritage comes before any individual's ambition or theory. The Supreme Council of Antiquities stands as both gatekeeper and guardian, balancing scientific curiosity against the weight of history and the realities of a modern economy. For those pressing to unlock Giza's secrets, the first challenge is not the stone or the sand, it's the locked gate and the authority that holds the key. March 15, 2025, the world's attention snapped to Giza as Professor Corrado Malanga, a chemist turned geophysicist from Pisa, unveiled scan results that would ignite a global frenzy. In a live-streamed announcement, Malanga and his collaborator, Filippo Biondi, revealed ground-penetrating radar images from beneath the Pyramid of Khafra. The data didn't just hint at random cavities or natural fissures. Instead, the scans mapped out 4 spiral-like signatures, precise, curling patterns that twisted deep into the subsurface, paired with what looked like massive vertical shafts and interconnected chambers. Some of these voids appeared to plunge over 600 meters below the plateau, their layout too regular to dismiss as coincidence. Malanga's team didn't mince words. "These aren't natural formations," he declared, his voice echoing through conference halls and across social media feeds. Within hours, headlines blazed with talk of a hidden city, a sprawling world beneath the sand that had somehow escaped centuries of exploration. The phrase, "underground city beneath the pyramids," shot to the top of trending lists, as millions debated whether the scans pointed to lost engineering or overactive imaginations. Malanga's reputation fueled the fire. Known for his obsessive attention to data and his refusal to bow to academic pressure, he had already made waves in the field with controversial takes on ancient sites. Colleagues described him as fiercely independent, a scientist who chased evidence even when it ran against the grain. For Malanga, the Giza campaign was more than just a technical challenge. It was a chance to rewrite the story of civilization with hard proof, not rumor, but the backlash was immediate. Dr. Zahi Hawass, Egypt's most recognizable archaeologist and a powerful voice within the Supreme Council of Antiquities, dismissed the findings as fake news. He accused Malanga's team of using unvalidated radar methods and sensationalizing routine geology. Nothing but normal rock, Hawass insisted to the press. Other Egyptologists echoed the skepticism, pointing out that radar scans often produce ghost patterns, artifacts of salt pockets, old quarry marks, or natural faults in the limestone. They warned that extraordinary claims without physical excavation risked misleading the public and undermining the credibility of serious research. Yet the scans refused to fade from view. The images showed a level of symmetry and scale that was hard to ignore. Spirals that seemed to descend in ordered layers, chambers aligned beneath the pyramid's footprint, and hints of what could be ancient water channels or tunnels. The possibility that these features were engineered, not accidental, raised the stakes for everyone involved. If Malanga's data held up, the implications for Egyptology and for the world's understanding of Giza would be profound. As media coverage exploded, the debate over access and authority grew sharper. Malanga's team pressed for permits to probe deeper, but the Supreme Council of Antiquities tightened its grip. For now, the only thing moving faster than the rumors was the demand for answers. The ground beneath Giza had spoken in spirals and shadows, and the world was listening. June 2025. The Giza Plateau baked under the relentless sun as Malanga's team returned with a new arsenal of technology. This time, the scans cut deeper and sharper, stripping away any lingering doubts about noise or coincidence. The data revealed a world far larger and more organized than anyone had dared predict. Vertical shafts, some dropping nearly 2,100 feet, twice the height of the Eiffel Tower, punched through the limestone. The radar mapped corridors that ran straight as an arrow, then curved into spirals, descending in deliberate repeating patterns. One chamber stood out, a void stretching nearly 80 meters across, wide enough to fit a soccer field inside. Its boundaries showed symmetry on every axis, with right angles and parallel walls that defied natural explanation. The scans traced these features as they branched and rejoined, forming a lattice of rooms and passageways beneath the pyramid's footprint. To the team, the geometry was unmistakable, not the random chaos of geology, but the order of architecture. Malanga's group ran the equipment in multiple passes, switching frequencies and angles, testing for false echoes. Each time the same structures appeared: shafts, chambers, corridors, all aligned, all repeating. The data wasn't just a single snapshot, it was a layered map built from weeks of continuous imaging. The team published slices and composite images showing how the voids stacked and nested, some linked by what looked like ramps or spiral descents. The implications rippled through the scientific community. If these spaces were real and if their shapes reflected intentional design, then the scale of underground construction at Giza would dwarf anything previously documented. The idea of a single tomb or secret room gave way to something much bigger, a city-sized complex, engineered with precision and purpose. But with every new detail, the pressure mounted. Egypt's authorities demanded peer review and independent replication. Skeptics sharpened their critiques, pointing to the limits of radar and the risk of algorithmic illusions. Yet the scans stood on their own: lines, voids, and chambers too regular, too vast to dismiss out of hand. The world was left with a puzzle, a hidden landscape beneath the pyramids mapped in echoes and shadows, waiting for the next move. Half a kilometer west of the pyramids, another team worked in silence, far from the spotlight that followed Malanga. Professor Motoyuki Sato, a pioneer in ground-penetrating radar from Tohoku University, led a Japanese-Egyptian group into the Western Cemetery, a grid of ancient mastabas and sand-choked alleyways. Their goal was different: map the invisible, not chase headlines. Sato's crew laid out a dense grid running ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity lines every half-meter, calibrating each pass against the dry, compacted sand that fills these burial fields. The data revealed something no one expected: a buried L shape, sharply defined, 10 meters on each side, sitting just 2 meters below the surface. The lines traced right angles and parallel arms, geometry that doesn't happen by accident in the natural world. Beneath this, another anomaly, a square cavity 5 to 10 meters down, echoing the same dimensions. The cavity's signature read as open space or loosely packed fill, not the dense, undisturbed matrix of the cemetery. Sato's team published their findings in a peer-reviewed journal, the amplitude maps and resistivity slices leaving little room for doubt about the structure's artificiality. Local legends have long whispered about sealed rooms and hidden archives beneath Giza's western edge. Now, for the first time, the instruments pointed to a real, testable target. The Japanese results didn't just support Malanga's claims, they offered independent, methodical evidence, geometry in the sand, waiting for a spade. Claims of a vast city beneath Giza ignite dreams, but the science behind those claims faces a hard ceiling, set by physics itself. Radar, whether ground-based or from satellites, relies on electromagnetic waves to probe beneath the surface. In dry sand, low-frequency radar can sometimes reach several meters. But the X-band frequencies used by Cosmo SkyMed and Capella satellites, the backbone of Malanga's scans, struggle to penetrate more than a few meters in limestone or compacted sand. At 9.6 gigahertz, the signal fades fast, scattered and absorbed by minerals and ancient fractures. The idea that these waves could map voids or chambers hundreds of meters down runs directly against decades of geophysical research. A group of SAR and INSAR specialists from leading European and American labs reviewed the scan data and methodology. Their verdict was blunt. The signal-to-noise ratio at claimed depths is vanishingly low. Even with advanced phase extraction and machine learning, artifacts, ghost patterns, can appear when algorithms hunt for order in noisy data. Phase unwrapping errors, baseline mismatches, and overfitting to random echoes can all create geometric illusions where none exist. Without raw data, code, or open-source tomograms, independent teams cannot replicate the results or test for these pitfalls. Transparency is the watchword. Every major geophysical discovery at Teotihuacan, at Angkor Wat, stood or fell on reproducibility. The roadmap is clear: public release of raw radar frames, detailed metadata, and independent ground truthing. Until then, the promise of a lost city beneath Giza remains just that, a promise, not a fact. In June 2025, ground-penetrating radar scans beneath the Pyramid of Khafra mapped chambers as wide as 80 meters and shafts extending over 2,100 feet deep. A Japanese team's independent survey identified a buried L-shaped structure and a square cavity in the western cemetery, both with geometric precision. These findings echo earlier oral traditions and explorers' reports of hidden spaces under Giza, but no excavation has yet confirmed human construction. Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities maintains strict control over access, citing national heritage and security. The evidence now on record, radar images, technical reports, and published coordinates, documents large, ordered voids. What lies within them, who built them, and why remain open questions. Only transparent, minimally invasive excavation can turn these scans into history. For now, the Giza Plateau holds its secrets, waiting for the next chapter to be written by data, not legend.